Gente, não é pouca merda, estou aqui com ele, o cara, CRINACLE, para fazer uma entrevista com várias perguntas aqui que eu fiz, algumas que vocês botaram nos comentários daquele vídeo que eu falei que eu viria para a China. Então, tô tendo essa oportunidade absurda, né, de estar na frente dele, de poder... Enfim, já estou há alguns dias com ele, na verdade, e agora eu tenho algumas perguntas que eu fiz aqui de roteiro para poder, cara, vocês saberem um pouco mais sobre ele, o que ele pensa sobre alguns assuntos. Acho que vai ser sensacional. So, Crin, thank you so much for this.
No
As I've
problem.
said to you before, like, I'm a fan. Like, I think...
Thank you.
I always think about the hobby when I joined and the difference between like how it was then and how it is now. And I think it's so much better now. And I think you've been fundamental to this,
stop.
you know, to make it like become much more objectively minded, you know, for us to have target curves. I think you've done like an unimaginable contribution to the hobby. You know, like we were saying back in, I think 2 days ago in a dinner where Mark was there from Super Review.
Yeah.
Axel was telling him about how he thinks or how he knows about the huge contribution of the squig.link,
Of course, yes.
to the hobby. And I think like what you've done in general to the hobby is also amazing. So
Well,
thank
you.
you so much for the time. Thank you for being here. I think it's going to be amazing for my viewers. Okay, so I have a total of, I think it's 10 questions, so should be quite quick.
Yeah.
First one, how did you get into the hobby?
I started out I feel like with many people.
Yeah.
You know, you just probably want to buy a headphone, an IEM, an earphone, and probably you just go on the internet and search up best headphone, best IEM, and just go down the rabbit hole, you know, researching, looking for the best that you can buy for that budget that you have. In my case, it was like $150.
Okay.
But it was, to me at the time, it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I had to sit down and be like, I want the absolute best for my money, and therefore I got the Audio-Technica M50, the original one, no X, just
Wow.
Audio-Technica M50. That's what everyone said was the best. And I guess at the time that was true.
Yeah.
And that's where everything just started, you know, the rabbit hole, the snowballing, and now we're here.
Yeah. But like on that question, what did you think made you? Because you could have just like got the M50s and kind of just stopped and be like, okay, this is it. This is what I wanted to buy. Like, what do you think made you take the next step of like really getting into the rabbit hole?
So from when I started at the same time as you, during the launch of the HD 800, 2009.
Yeah, a
long time ago. So when I started, I didn't know anything, and of course I just kind of followed the crowd here and there. Because obviously, as a guy who doesn't know anything, you just deferred to the experts. At the time, it was like Tal Hurstens. That's a legendary figure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. From there, I think from 2009 all the way until 2016, I just existed as someone who was in the hobby, but not someone who really actively contributed to the hobby. I was just like there, just buying stuff, you know, average consumer.
Yeah.
It was around 2016 when I really got into IEMs that I realized, wow, the review scene for IEMs at the time was terrible.
All over the place. Yeah.
Absolutely terrible. Everywhere I went to when I wanted to read a review, I realized that it was always positive.
Yeah.
Always something good to say, nothing to criticize. And every time I bought something based on those recommendations, it always turned out to be terrible. And I thought, is it me?
Yeah.
Is it just me? Like, do I just hate everything? And I realized, no, it's not just me. Some people said the same thing, where it's like, just because this reviewer said it was good doesn't mean that once I bought it, it didn't sound that great. So I didn't start reviewing then, but I did start the measurements database back in 2016.
Nice.
So back in 2016, I had a very simple setup. It was a tube, microphone. I just shoved
I've seen photos
in there.
on the website. Yeah.
But that was the start of something big.
Yeah.
So I started there and then just measured every IEM that I could get my hands on.
Yeah.
So that was at the time when I I measured like 300 plus IEMs,
Wow.
which at the time was the world's biggest database of measurements.
Surely.
And it was terrible because it was a very simple rig.
Yeah.
So then I upgraded, and then after that, we have the 711 database now.
Yeah.
But
The
then,
rest is history, yeah.
The next thing was the ranking list.
Yeah.
So I started the ranking list because everyone asked me like, oh, you have measured this, and I saw you also measured that.
Oh, yeah.
Can you compare the two?
Okay.
And that was fine for the first 100 times.
Oh yeah.
And then it just got increasingly
yeah.
this, I don't want to deal with that anymore. So I created a ranking list to be like, all right,
Yeah.
you want to compare that and that? Just look on the table. It's somewhere in there. I don't know, like rank A, rank B, rank C, it's all there. Yeah.
Yeah, so very organic in a way.
Yeah.
And I still remember one. I think it was a video that you made, which is so eye-opening. Which I think you took like a database of reviews and compared and showed like a bell curve.
It wasn't even a database. It was just like, okay, I know of these like 4 or 5
Yeah.
big websites.
Yeah.
And I just like aggregated like the most recent 50 reviews.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, and it shows it's statistically like the definition of average.
Yes.
It was wrong. So
Yeah.
I thought that was so.
That was my issue with many. Again, like
Yeah.
I had the same issues in 2016. I had the same issues in 2020.
Yeah.
And I guess now people are starting to get wise about all
Yeah,
of this, and
yeah.
now it's not like as accepted anymore.
yeah.
But I think it really takes like something like this to be able to open people's eyes. Where like, hey, that 8 out of 10 is not a great score.
Yeah, it cannot be.
No.
I mean, if so many of most of them are 8 out of 10, then it's just
Then that's
tilted.
the new 5 out of 10.
Yeah, good, nice. Okay, second one, it's related. What is the biggest difference that you see when you compare the hobby as it was when you joined, like 2009, and as it is today? Like, what, if you had to pick like one thing that's different?
IEMs weren't as big.
Okay.
For sure, it was a way smaller market back in 2009. Now it's like the IEM market has leapfrogged
Yeah.
the headphones market by like multiples, magnitudes.
Yeah.
The IEM market is like, I want to say 10 times as big. I think that's not hyperbole. The IEM market is 10 times as big as the headphones market, at least in the enthusiast world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you have a point.
Yeah.
Do you think it has to do with just an additional question with the maybe like I see it as being a result of two things. One, the IEM market having developed so much during the last like 10 years, but also portable audio. Like the fact that we have in our pockets like streaming devices, they have so much. I think it's like the two. Maybe these are the two.
Yeah, I think one is, yes, it's easier to use.
Yeah.
For sure. Like with a headphone, sure you can plug into your phone, but
Yeah.
everyone recommends you use it with an amplifier, DAC. And if you're using an open back headphone, you're
No way.
stuck on the desk.
Yeah.
You can't use it outside for sure. And the other thing is, I think it's just that IEMs are easier to make.
Okay.
So you have development skyrocketing because with a headphone you need to invest like years, a lot of R&D,
Okay.
material costs is also a lot more.
Yeah.
Whereas with IEMs, you can a company can kind of churn out 4 or 5 different models like
True.
in a year.
I had never considered that. Yeah. That's
So
a good
it's,
point.
it's easier to reiterate
Yeah.
on something that you have built as a manufacturer.
Sure.
As compared to headphones, where just like you built something and you kind of stuck with it for like
Yeah.
maybe even a decade sometimes.
Yeah.
So you have all these companies just like essentially responding to each other.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
like release one IEM, that's the
the-
best
Xiaomi,
one,
yeah.
and the other
Yeah,
one, there's
yeah.
a better one, and just keep. Whereas headphones is kind of like we have.
Yeah.
I feel like kind of stagnated since the HD 600.
Yeah. In a way, I agree. Yeah, to me, it's still like a staple of tonality. I think we do have much better stuff in terms of technicalities, but like in terms of neutral tonality, to me, it's still a reference.
Oh, yeah.
600s. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And next question. So you've seen like how the hobby evolved and the headphone market evolved in the since you've been into the hobby. How do you see it in 20 years? What do you think is going to be like? What's it going to look like? Just random ideas.
Okay. Maybe not even 20 years. I feel like in 5 years we would see far more acceptance of DSP in IEMs.
Okay.
I think now we're still in like that transitional phase where
Yeah.
people don't know what to think about them. But just like how in the speaker world where it's accepted that DSP is the superior way to tune a speaker.
Especially professional use.
that too.
Yeah.
I feel like we're gonna have the same discussion as we
Okay.
have with the IM world, and we're just gonna eventually come to the same conclusion.
Okay.
Where it's if you can accept the DSP,
Yeah.
it's the better way to tune.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, but maybe in 20 years that might be a bit too far off.
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
maybe in the future we'll just say like, oh, we can have IEMs or headphones that sound just like speakers.
Okay.
Maybe I'm hopeful about that. I don't know. Yeah.
But I think we're moving towards that direction.
Everyone's aiming for that. That's like the holy
Yeah.
grail
Yeah,
of sound reproduction. Have your
Yeah.
headphones and IEMs sound like speakers.
Yeah, and surround sound, I think it's evolving way like
Oh yeah.
it's like spatial audio on Apple products. I think it's amazing.
Yes.
And okay. Okay, so now going for the collabs, like second section.
Yes.
Which collab are you the most proud of?
I was proud of.
Yeah.
I would say the blessing to dusk.
Really?
The original dusk, if you will. Yeah.
Why is that?
I think at the time it was still a relatively novel idea.
Yeah.
Yep. So of course the dawn came out before the dusk.
Yeah,
But
Fearless.
it was from a sales standpoint it was a failure.
Really?
Yeah.
I never tried that one.
We didn't sell a lot, and it's very expensive, and I understood why it failed.
Okay.
So the dusk was kind of like that. If this works, it works. If it doesn't work, the collab idea just
Okay.
collapses overnight.
Okay.
So I don't think there was that pressure back then, but now in hindsight, I felt like, oh yeah, if the dust didn't work, I don't think we'll be seeing as many collabs as we do today.
Yeah. Now it's mainstream.
Now it's like everyone's trying to do it, right?
Yeah,
And it's like maybe I've unleashed the monster upon
Yeah.
the market, but that's a different topic altogether.
Yeah.
I was proud of that because the dusk, the original Blessing 2 Dusk, was
Okay.
a massive success.
Yeah,
It showed
yeah.
Moondrop that hey, you could listen to someone who's outside of the industry,
Yeah.
who has good ideas to share to the people.
Sure.
And of course, I'm not going to say that the Dusk is better than the Blessing 2.
Okay.
But for some people,
I
it
am.
is. Yeah. For
Yeah,
some
yeah.
people, it's
I'm gonna say
preference-wise.
Yeah. No, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes sense but like in hindsight, it's if you think about it, it's like you have companies making products for the audience, and then if you have someone who represents the audience to,
Oh yeah.
that it makes so much sense,
Yeah. Because I think one of the main criticisms of the Blessing 2 is that it was a bit shouty and it had too little bass.
Yeah.
So to me, it was just like, well, everyone is saying it. I'm not saying that I'm not saying I'm the one who has like the golden ears.
Yeah.
Literally, everyone was saying it. I was just like, I'm the guy who's influential enough to come up to Moondrop and say like, hey,
Let's do it.
I like this, but also a lot of people like this.
Yeah.
Why not do it?
Okay.
And of course they did. Again, rest is history.
Oh, and did you approach Moondrop? Or is it the other way around? Like, how did it happen?
I approached Moondrop.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So
okay, so
again, no one. That was like the next step in the the dawn happened, but again, by all accounts, it was a failure.
Yeah.
So no one was approaching me for collabs because the idea of a collaboration wasn't mainstream yet. No one thought that it would be a thing.
Yeah.
So I had to go up to Moondrop, which was at the time, and honestly still is, my favorite company in the IM scene.
Nice.
So I just went up to them and be like, hey, let's do it.
What do you think?
You want to do it?
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that they're your favorite company, but it makes sense. I mean,
In terms of innovation.
yeah.
I know in terms of latest releases, in terms of like the current, like let's say the current products,
Yeah.
subjective impressions, it might differ.
Sure.
But I respect them for beyond just like what their products can do. I respect them for the innovation. I respect them
Yeah.
for what they can do. I respect Mr. Herbert for doing the things that he loves.
Yeah.
Like you would know that he has a coffee roasting
Yeah.
brand company.
No,
He has a cafe.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, to me, I have to agree. I mean, as I always say in my channel, and I think most reviewers in Brazil agree with this, like they don't always do it right. Look, for example, they do have some releases that I don't think were very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's a consistent brand. I think they're bold, and I would have to agree. I mean, they're now like at the forefront of chi-fi. Like,
Yes.
and like if I think most products
They are the Apple of chi-fi for good and bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I have to agree. So now the second question: which was the most challenging collab?
The most challenging one.
Yeah.
I think the one that took the longest to develop was. Let me go through the entire thing.
Oh, there's many.
Yeah. It's a toss-up between the reds and the dusk.
Okay.
Yeah,
Really? Reds? Okay.
the new dusk, not the old dusk.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
I figured the new dusk would be the one.
Oh
Because
yeah,
the whole
that's
DSP stuff.
That's one of them.
Yeah.
So the reds were difficult because with the blues it was just kind of hit harmony,
Okay.
and then with the reds it was a lot of feature creep as well.
Yeah.
Like we had better drivers that we wanted to implement into the reds. Which is why I had to also say, like, when the reds released, we had to say that, oh, it's a different drivers, we're using a different tuning.
Yeah.
And people also remember that between the blues and the reds, it was like a 1.5 year or a year release, I think. And
Wow, was it that long?
yeah, and we started almost right after the blues
Oh, wow.
were launched in the market. So we took a very long time. We
I had
thought like,
no
oh, this will be
idea.
like a 2 or 3 month endeavor. No, it just expanded to a year.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was a very fruitful year.
Yeah.
We released a red, which is one of my most successful collabs so far. Yeah.
Like people who watch me know, like they always plug them every single time there's
Yeah.
like an AliExpress promotion. When it gets under $50, I always say, people buy red. You know,
yeah.
it's like I literally, like on the list that I make of like my recommendations during promotions, I give like a, you know, the line with the reds.
Yeah.
Most of the times I do turn it red. It's like, this is what you should buy,
thank
please
you.
buy this. Because to me it's a staple. I mean, it's one of those IMs where I listen to them and I'm like, why would I need anything else? You know, any more than this? I mean, of course there are better
Oh yeah, the better
earphones,
IMs.
but at the same time, it's just so good, you know,
Yeah.
for what it costs. Yeah.
I think the interesting one is that a lot of people say the same thing, where it's like, oh, there are better IMs in the reds, and they almost always come up with like $100, $150 IMs.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I agree, but come on.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. And okay, so you did answer the next one, which is what was the most financially successful? It was the red, I presume.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
It's a close toss-up between the reds and I would say the old and even new dusk, because I consider them kind of like a continuation of that line.
Okay, yeah. So if you add them together, but is that because of the
It is more expensive. So,
but
so
that's what I was going to ask. Like in terms of units sold, like reds.
Yeah, the reds are the most popular collab right now. It even outsells the 700.
Really?
Yeah.
The cheapest one.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Which is just a testament of how strong the
Yeah,
position is
it is.
in the market right now.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now, like last segment, as a hobbyist, like not reviewer, not tuner, what were your top 3 mistakes? Falando em erro, tem um erro que não foi do CRINACLE, mas é o erro de muita gente. Querer trabalhar com Excel, Power BI, Python, SQL, Full Stack, coisas do tipo, sem antes fazer um curso na hashtag Treinamentos que está patrocinando esse vídeo aqui. Gente, a hashtag Treinamentos já formou mais de 120 mil alunos e traz tudo o que você precisa para se destacar no mercado de trabalho, independente do seu nível atual. Cara, você pode ser iniciante, pode ser intermediário ou pode ser avançado. Todos os cursos têm suporte completo, você nunca fica sem resposta em caso de dúvidas e você aprende de forma prática, com exercícios e projetos reais, o que faz toda a diferença na hora de aplicar o conhecimento no mercado. E tudo isso sem nenhum pré-requisito. E assim, por mais improvável que seja, se você não gostar, eles oferecem uma garantia de 30 dias, ou seja, se você não gostar do curso por qualquer motivo, você pode pedir o reembolso sem complicações. Nessa Black Friday, eles vão fazer a maior promoção de cursos que eles já fizeram e todos os cursos vão estar com mais de 50% de desconto. Para não perder essa oportunidade na Black Friday da hashtag, clica no link na descrição ou acessa o QR Code na tela para ser avisado assim que a oferta for liberada e conseguir aproveitar esse desconto.
Right at the beginning, it was probably putting too much emphasis on amplifiers and DACs.
Okay.
Yeah, so I always have the philosophy, again, you're free to disagree. I always have the philosophy that you should spend 90% of your budget on the transducer. That being the speaker, the headphone, the
That
IEM.
is exactly what I've always said. Even the number. It's like they're responsible for 90% of the results.
Oh yeah.
Done. Okay.
If you're like under $50 US, just use an Apple dongle, something free. You know, it works. If your phone, if you're lucky enough to have a phone with a headphone jack, just use that.
Done. Exactly what I've always said.
Maybe when you're hit like $1,000, or even maybe not 90%, maybe 80%. Like maybe if you hit like a $500 IEM, maybe you can get a $100 dongle. Maybe if you want to, but quite honestly, at that point, because nowadays dongles are like they use such powerful chipsets. The Apple dongle uses a very, very good Cirrus Logic chip. A lot of people love the 43131 right now, which is in a lot of like high-end dongles. The Qualcomm chips are also very good if you use a Bluetooth dongle. Even those ESS Sabre DACs are also very, very good. You can't go wrong. So that's the thing. When it comes to DACs, it's like one of those things. Like if you really want to, you can get a $100 dongle. But I feel like at that point you get it because you want more volume, literally more power. Because of course the Apple dongle 1 volt, fine for me. Listening volume, fine for me. But
you listen at low volumes, don't you?
I feel like I listen at normal volumes because if you look at if any of you have AirPod Pros, Pro 2s, and use the health app, like I don't go above 55, and people think that that's low, but really just go to the app and just listen to it at 55. It's really just a normal volume, especially with the ANC on. People don't realize that with ANC, your background noise reduces by 30 decibels. So you can listen at 55 normally. I feel like that's a good, like 65 is like where it starts to like rock out mode, but it's a bit painful at that point. 80, not even a chance. I know 80 is still healthy, but not even a chance for me.
Like I went to, it was like to a demonstration not long ago, a speaker setup. Like it sounded like a jet engine taking off, but that was too much. Like I listen at higher volumes than you, but like I don't enjoy listening too loud. And I know even like some reviewers who listen like insanely loud.
Oh yeah, I know some who exceed 100, which I do not get.
That they pulled the decimal meter app. It reached I think 112 decibels.
Ooh.
It's insanely loud. Yeah, it was painful. It was painful. It's like a concert, you know.
Oh yeah, when I go to concerts, I always wear hearing aids, plugs.
Okay.
Plugs. So protect your ears, people, especially if you're going to be an audiophile, because you want to be able to enjoy the music until you're like 60, right?
Okay, so wait, there was one mistake, investing in amplifiers. Two more.
Listening at high volumes. I think that's a good one.
But you've done that before?
I would say for like a very brief period of time where I really enjoyed the equipment. I just like wanted to just keep upping the volume. But I got rid of that habit very quickly.
Nice.
But yes, that's the second very crucial mistake that you should avoid, which is
good for you.
Do not listen to too loud of the volumes, especially if you want to preserve your hearing well into your middle ages, hopefully even in your elderly age. And the last one. Last one is, I mean, I'm not going to consider DAC and amps like snake oil, but don't invest in snake oil. But it also depends on what is snake oil. Because like cables would be one of them, you know. But that's more towards like the IM industry. Cable industry is not as strong. I know in the IM industry, like you're kind of in a lot of communities, cables are a very, very strong thing, especially in Singapore where I'm from. So I was almost influenced into like being a cable guy. But I shut that down real quick.
And in the speaker world, madness.
Oh yeah, speaker world is like
madness.
Rock.
Like a magic voodoo stuff placed on walls.
I had one where it's like before you listen, you spray the air.
No.
So it helps the air movement.
You can't make this stuff up. So I have one example which I haven't seen myself, but someone I trust told me. We used to have a forum in Brazil about like high-end stuff, and apparently there was a group of people talking about a specific fridge that was especially good at burning in an outlet. You know, it's like they do have like cryogenically treated outlets for. So you plug a fridge into the outlet. Look at how many things you have to assume for this to be true. You have to assume that one, an outlet is going to make a difference in the sound. Two, that the outlet can be burned in. And 3, that there are some equipment that are especially good at burning it in. What the hell?
Oh yeah.
But that's stuff that happens eventually in a
There's something similar in the
speaker
IM world where it's like there is a plug that you can plug into like a DAP or something or an amp, and that burns in the amp very well.
Oh my gosh. Really?
I think those kinds of things are more common in like Hong Kong and Taiwan, thankfully. Please don't bring that shit into Singapore, okay? No, please don't.
It makes me sad.
Yeah, but I think it's also thankfully a very small subset of the community.
And I think also, like, my view is that this is, like, it's more and more uncommon because I think the hobby as a whole, like, to me, the biggest difference between like how things were like when I joined the hobby is because we're much more like scientifically minded nowadays in general. Yes. You have the whole measurements, the target curves, things that were not present back then. And I think that kind of shuts down the whole situation.
I see a lot less people getting sucked into, let's say, like very expensive amplifiers, for example, because at that point it's like, what do the amplifiers change? Yeah. Some people say the amplifiers like enhance the bass, and at that point it's like, no, an EQ.
It's not supposed to.
Yeah, an EQ enhances the bass. You could just do that for free. Yeah. The amp should be flat.
Yeah. To me, like what I always say when I review headphones and amps and DACs is like I mostly don't talk about the sound because I don't hear a difference.
Oh yeah, no.
So like now, and some people call me crazy. It's like, come on, you don't see a difference? I'm like, no. And I think most people wouldn't be able to if they took a double blind test. I think sometimes there are differences. For example, if you get like I don't know, maybe like something much cheaper, like below topping the X3 territory, like a Doak Audio or Fosse Audio, like a properly cheap amp, there may be a difference in sound, but like so small. And even sometimes when you compare like tube amps and solid state amps, I think the differences are way overblown, you know? They can exist sometimes, but like what I review, usually topping SMSL stuff, it all sounds the same to me. Like so, it's about power and features and looks mostly.
With tube amps, they do change the sound a lot, but not because they are like tubes make a magical difference. It's because of output impedance. The output impedance of amps are so high to the point where even headphones with like 300 ohm impedances, because they have a hump up in the bass. When you plug into a tube amp, they sound warm. Why? Because you increase the mid bass, like by EQ, analog EQ, kind of. So there are explainable differences in some cases, but in other cases, like this solid state amp versus that solid state amp. Well, we're going to territory where we might get flamed in the comments.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. So another question. I think this is a good one. If you had to pick the most surprising audio product that you've ever tested in your life, if you have to pick one, like anything audio related.
The most surprising?
Yeah, like that. It's like good or bad. Something that you tried and it surprised you.
Right. There is one IEM. I met this man called Jiki Gill. So if you're in the comments somehow, Mr. Jiki Gill, he had let me try a Pioneer IEM, the SECX series. So what it came with is a bass exciter. It's basically a vibrator.
Okay.
And that was the most interesting tech that I have seen from like 7 years ago. Okay. It fizzled out. No one talks about it nowadays. But when I heard it, it was like it gave a tactility that I felt was missing in IEMs. You know, when you listen to speakers, when you listen to a proper sub, you get the body vibrations. You're not gonna get body vibrations, but I got ear vibrations because it was a literal like moving mass on my earlobes.
Did it sound good?
No.
Okay. Well.
But it was interesting.
Okay.
No, but that's the thing, is that when I heard it, yes, it didn't sound the best, but I felt like this was something that was completely unique. And again, the question was not the best, but the most surprising.
That's
so
exactly
that was the most
what I wanted,
surprising IEM. I wanted to make a comeback. I'm trying to make it comeback for it. The basic exciter technology, I'm just trying to find a way to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. But eventually, who knows?
I had never heard of this before.
So the ones that I have at my shop actually would be the Pioneer SECX9. So if you come by, you can try it out, and then you can see what I'm talking about. Okay.
Maybe when I come to China again, I could fly to Singapore.
Oh yeah,
that would be fantastic.
That's just a short hop away.
Oh yeah.
Compared to the your proper trip.
Like I want to one day come to the East and just spend like
Just ping pong everywhere.
3 months, so that I can visit everything that I want, because there's so many places.
Oh yeah.
But it's so far away. So, to come back all the time, it's way too expensive, way too far. But yeah,
3
I'll try to
months.
make it happen. And now, okay, this is if you had one advice for people starting out, like coming to the hobby, they landed on my channel for some reason and they're watching this interview. If you had to give them one single advice, what would it be?
Don't listen to other people, find out what you like yourself. I think that's the most
Nice.
important piece of advice within the hobby, because everyone likes to watch influencers, like to watch reviewers. And a lot of times when they see something is good, because they're inexperienced themselves, they'll say like, all right, I think it's good because this guy said it's good. And I think that's fine from a very starting standpoint, but the entire point of this hobby is to enjoy the music that you would like to enjoy it. So I think this is something where a lot of veterans in the hobby or the starting out hobbyists, they kind of understand like after a year, where it's like, oh, I shouldn't just listen to when someone says something is good. I should try and find out my own taste, what I like, because a reviewer might give a neutral IEM, a neutral headphone, very good scores. But that wouldn't matter to you if you like a lot of bass. But then you also need to understand, do I like a lot of bass? Or do I like a lot of treble? Do I like a darker signature, a brighter signature? All of these questions, if you can identify it early on in your journey, it makes your future purchases a lot easier, and you save a lot more money in your wallet, and of course you identify and you enjoy the hobby a lot more.
It's, I agree, and I think it's very interesting. It's an interesting take. I mean, I think this might be surprising to a lot of people, because I think your biggest contribution to the hobby was to bring in a lot of objectivity. But it's great to hear that there's still space for subjectivity. It doesn't matter.
It's objectivity to a certain extent. So for example, I promote the use of graphs a lot. Not because graphs show you how good an IEM is, but because graphs show you the flavor of the IEM. So again, if you're someone who likes bass, you look at the graph, you find a graph that has a lot of bass, and then you identify that and be like, all right, I think I will shortlist that for my next purchase, for my next demo session. And that's how you can use an objective measure like graphs to make a subjective decision. It's like, I think it's in the on your website that you say that you try to be like a signature agnostic. Yes. I do
Okay.
my best, but of course I have biases. I like sub bass myself. So when a set has less sub bass, I'm inclined to like dot points for it. But I also acknowledge that, where I'm like, it's scores or IEMs that sound the best to me. Not the best to everyone, because there's no such thing. There's no such thing as an IEM that sounds the best to everyone.
I recently got a comment on my channel that was like, I unboxed the Galaxy 3 Buds Pro.
I just received that in Singapore, but my
you're
employees
here.
opened it.
Okay,
I haven't opened it yet.
No, I bought it and I unboxed it, and there was a comment which was like, which of the EQ presets is best? And I just replied, whatever you think sounds best. Like, what? Who am I to say what sounds
the
best?
presets, like the best, the bass boost, the best. But then someone who hates bass, wow, no.
Try it, and you'll see yourself what your ears prefer. This is the best one. So now, final question, which, I am putting in this video, but I might copy it to when the review comes eventually. But I know you've been preparing for the Bluetooth. The Bluetooth. Which I've heard in the show, and I really liked, even though I didn't like the first one. Can you tell me more?
It's an update, of course, to the original Truth Gear Zeros, which were tuned to Harman. So now the Bluetooth are more Harmoner. It also uses the improvements that we had from the Red onto the Blue. So we use the kind of like a modified version of the Red drivers instead of a modified version of the Blue drivers. And of course, we now have the bass boost adapter that the Reds have. So if you want to make it, it's not just a bass boost, it also makes everything more warm. So if you're someone who don't like Harman because it's too thin for you, maybe the adapter would help with that. Yeah.
Nice.
On top of that, same price as the reds. We'll be having a microphone version of it as well.
Oh, nice. Was it a common request?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have seen how much of a cult following the original Truth got for being a gaming IEM.
I had no idea.
Oh yeah, so many people bought it because it was touted as one of the best gaming IEMs at $50. So at some point, a lot of people also asked us like, can you make something with an IEM, a microphone in it? And I'm like, okay, sure, okay, consider it.
Interesting, because to me, like I would say, based on like I'm not a gamer, but I would say that the Harman target to me, it's something that I would associate more with gaming.
Oh yeah,
increased clarity,
increased bass, increased treble for like gunshots versus footstep sounds. I can see it. I can see it. Yeah. So that's the Bluetooth. More Harman. Oh wait, one big change.
Yeah.
We shrank the nozzle.
Okay. Yeah. You mentioned to me on the show. This is very important. Ok, so português agora. A parada é, eu nunca tive esse problema. Já falei isso pra vocês, mas muita gente aparentemente reclama do bocal de saída do zero red e do zero blue, né? Porque é muito grande, enfim. Eu nunca enfrentei isso, mas isso está sendo corrigido agora no zero blue 2. Então, finalmente, as pressas de vocês foram atendidas. Mas, ok, so this begs the question. What about zero reds? Do you think it's going to, like the change in nozzle?
The update?
Yeah?
The red twos?
Yeah?
I mean, sure, of course.
Okay.
Like I said, all the improvements that we had on the red, we also passed on to the blue 2.
Okay.
So, of course, all the improvements that we have on the blue 2, we will naturally also pass on to the red 2. Yeah. We're always trying to make a better product.
Okay, so now I think people are probably clapping in their house, you know.
Yeah, small nozzle can finally fit into our ears.
Oh yeah. So these were my questions. Crin, thank you so much for your time. It's been amazing. It's incredible to, learn from you and to, listen to what you have to say about those very interesting questions. To me, at least. I hope you guys. Espero que vocês tenham curtido também. Any final words?
Any final words?
Up to you. Can you say, okay, goodbye, guys. You can say, now fuck off.
Yes.
Oh no, you don't say it anymore in the hangout.
Oh yeah, I can't. I'm very corporate. But I guess on his channel, I can be as uncorporate as I like. Fuck off.
Valeu, gente. Espero que vocês tenham gostado. Se vocês tiverem gostado, clique no botão de like. Se vocês tiverem gostado muito, se inscrevam no canal. Um grande abraço.